All right, then we'll start with this question, which is Swift. So just like any other question, when you come across this case study question, first thing what you have to do here is not to read the case study, but to read the requirement. Why? Because looking at the requirement, we'll try to understand what examiner is demanding from you. We'll try to understand what examiner is expecting from us. Based on that, we will understand, okay, this is what examiner is expecting from me. So while reading the case study, it is easy for me to point out those things which examiner is expecting from me and simultaneously frame my skeleton of my answer. Okay, so first thing what we'll have to do, we'll have to copy the questions here. But since that is a PDF, I'm not able to do that. So I'll directly start the answer something like this. Um, A and B, two questions are there, right? A, B. First question is assess using both financial and non-financial measures the attractiveness from Swift perspective of EVM as an acquisition target, and it is for 14 marks. And which professional skill is being tested here? Anybody? Which professional skill is being tested here? Please speak out. Which professional skill is being tested here?
Evaluation skill.
Exactly. So evaluation skill is being tested here. So, okay, let's not use the chat, guys. Why? Because while while I'm typing, I'm not able to see that panel. So every now and then when I ask, you just unmute your mic, speak out. Okay. Evaluation skill is being tested. So we have to know what this evaluation skill is. How can we achieve this professional marks? To simplify this, evaluation is nothing but talking about positives and negatives of an aspect. Okay, you have to talk about positives of an aspect, at the same time negatives of an aspect, and give your opinion. Okay, so while you're writing your answer, you have to talk about certain positive aspects, at the same time counterattack it with some negative aspects. Simply advantages and disadvantages. But does it mean we have to put the side heading as advantages and disadvantages? No, 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 no. I'll tell you which format to use. We can use advantages and disadvantages, but it is not that necessary. I'll show you how to do that. So you guys have understood, right, what evaluation means? Evaluation means talking about positives and negatives, at the same time giving your opinion. Now then, we'll go through the task. What the requirement is: assess using both financial and non-financial measures the attractiveness from Swift's perspective of EVM as an acquisition target. See, when I'm reading this question, even I got confused. Like, assess, okay, what do I have to assess? I have to assess the attractiveness. And in between, there is this word, Swift, from Swift perspective. I have to assess the attractiveness of EVM as an acquisition target. If at all that would have been given in single sentence, it is easy for me to understand. But first they said assess, then they said how to assess using both financial and non-financial measures. What do I have to assess? I have to assess the attractiveness. Attractiveness of what? Attractiveness of Swift perspective? No, no, no. Attractiveness of EVM. From whom perspective? From Swift's perspective, not EVM perspective. So when I first read that, even I got confused. So how we have to be careful here is, we have to make use of these commas. As and when there is this commas, okay, the information that is in between this comma is explaining the word which is existing before that comma. So we can skip this for now and then assess the attractiveness, and we can skip this of EVM as an acquisition target. Once you understood that, then you read in between what, from which perspective, financial, non-financial, and all those things. Okay. Sometimes we might get confused. So I just wanted to mention that. All right. So we'll read the question now. So you understood we have to assess the attractiveness of this acquisition target. So this is basically that SAF criteria, that suitability, acceptability, and feasibility. Since I know this, which model is being tested, I'll write the headings. Suitability, acceptability, feasibility. Okay, good. What is the second question? We are supposed to write the second question as well. Analyze the national competitiveness of Ecuria and explain how it could influence Swift's decision to move a large part of the logistics business to Korea. This is for 8 marks. And the professional skill that is being tested here is, which professional skill is being tested in the second question?
Analysis.
Exactly. Analysis is being tested. What does this analysis mean? You know what evaluation skill is? Evaluation means you have to talk about positives and negatives of a certain aspect, and then you have to give your opinion. That's fine. Commercial acumen, yesterday we have seen that we have to give recommendations, and those recommendations have to be in line. These recommendations have to be practical to the company under consideration. Okay, 2 professional skills you guys have understood. What does this analysis mean? See, analysis means whenever you are saying something, whenever you are giving your opinions, you have to give your reasons. You have stated a fact. You have stated a fact and give a reason. You're basically justifying what you're saying. If you justify, that means you are going to get your analysis skill. That is one aspect, okay, of analysis. Number 1 is to give reasons. Number 2, okay, number 2 is to talk about the impact. Okay, you've said something, and because of this, what is going to be the impact on the company? Okay, that will also forms part of your analysis skill. That is one aspect. Number 3, if at all financial, okay, if at all financials are given, which means numbers are given, okay, some ratios are given, year 1, year 2. Let's suppose a certain ratio has increased, a certain ratio has decreased. Why did it increase? Why did it reduce? Again, you have to give the reasons. Again, this is also analysis. Understood? Understood. Analysis means you have to give reasons. You have to show what is the impact. Okay, and then if at all financials are given, and you're comparing 2 ratios, I mean ratios between 2 years financial statements, you have to say, you have to give the reason why did this current ratio has increased, or why did this in interest cover has reduced, or it is increased. Reason is crucial here. Beginners mistakes, what happens is, let's suppose in the financial statements, year 1, year 2, let's suppose they have said that current ratio here is 1.8, here it is 1.6. Okay, now sometimes students, what they'll do is they'll simply say that current ratio has reduced from 1.8 in year 1 to 1.6 in year 2. If you stop your answer here, you're not going to get any technical mark. You're not going to get any professional skill mark as well. I mean your analysis mark as well. Why? Why? Because 1.8 to 1.6, this reduction, even examiner knows this. Just by looking at the two financial statements, stakeholders will easily understand, oh, last year 1.8, this year 1.6. Even they know that. What is the point of us as an external consultant to, what is our role? We have to explain why did it reduce? Okay, unless and until we extend our answer with the reason, we are not going to get marks. Okay, we'll see what those things are while solving this question. Okay, so far you guys have understood, right, what evaluation and what analysis is. Any doubts in analysis? Understood, or shall I explain again?
Understood.
Okay. All right, then we'll start with the question. Oh, by the way, in second question, I got carried away with explaining this analysis skill. What is being tested here? Analyze the national competitiveness of ACCA. National competitiveness of ACCA. They're saying national and then competitiveness. And explain how it could influence swift decision to move a large part of the logistics business to ACCA. So basically what is happening here is this Swift company is there, right? This Swift company is trying to shift some of its operations or most of its operations to this company called ACCA. While this process happens, before this process happens, as a consultant or the company is asking us to analyze what is the nation's competitiveness, right? So when we hear about the nation competitiveness, what we are thinking of? The moment we see this nation, we might be thinking of pestle. Competitiveness, we might be thinking about, Porter's 5 forces, right? Industry attractiveness, right? Porter's 5 forces. So, but here what they're asking is, they're asking what kind of influence would this analysis have on Swift to change its business from one country to another country. So if you're deciding on changing your production process from one country to another country, we have to be, we must be thinking that maybe this country have some benefits. If we go to that country, maybe it has some benefits. Yes or no? So Porter's diamond, it feels like Porter's diamond is being tested here. I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure, but it feels like with the extension of this sentence, how it will influence Swift decision to move a large part of the logistics business to ACCA. Oh my God, they're shifting their business to some other country. So unless and until that country is best known for something, best known for whatever the business that this Swift is doing in their current country, they will not shift. I mean, they will not move. So maybe the model that is being tested here is Porter's diamond. Okay, understood.
So,
Yes, Anand.
why not a value chain model?
Porter's value chain. We are not analyzing the business here. We are analyzing the country. If you're analyzing the business, then the primary activities and supporting activities. But what we are saying here, we are moving to another country. Okay.
Okay.
Porter's diamond, we have said that how come one country best known for something? Unless and until it is best known for something, Swift doesn't want to move, right? Our prediction, we'll see. While reading the question, we'll have to decide. And one more thing, I can I can eliminate 5 forces here. Why? Because they are talking about nations competitiveness and not just about industry. If it was about industry, then I would have thought about 5 forces. You might be thinking, we did not even start the case study yet. Just at the question stage itself, we are thinking this much. And what about time management? Are we not losing lot of time? The thing is, we are at the beginning stage. This much of discussions happen at the beginning stage. After doing 2 to 3 questions, right, you will get that. You would have already acquired that knowledge. You would have already acquired that skill in identifying which model to use. Okay, in the beginning, it will be like that. It takes some time. So don't worry about that. All right, then. We'll begin now. Swift. Okay. Ambient is the, okay. Shall I start, or do you guys expect any explanation in the question? Please let me know.
Start, sir.
Okay. Sakshi might be thinking like, it's all right. What explanations would we expect?
No, sir, I already read that, sir.
No, just joking, just joking. Okay, Swift. Ambien is the third largest industrial country in the world. Ambien is the third largest industrial country in the world. Okay, maybe many industries are there in this country. It is densely populated with high standard of living. Okay. Joe Swift Transport, known as Swift, is the largest logistic company in Ambien. Okay, owning 1,500 trucks. It is a private limited company with all shares held by Swift family. Okay. It is a private limited company, all shares held by Swift family. So what knowledge strikes you here? They're talking about the structure, right? Family structure. In the Potter's diamond, last point, that last side heading, firm strategy, firm structure, rivalry, right? Maybe we can use this point over there. So anyway, since we know this is going to be Potter's diamond, I will have the side headings. Factor conditions, demand conditions, supporting industries, firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. R-I-V-A-R, rivalry. Okay, from structure, I'll mention private, limited, family based. Okay, just for my understanding. And you guys remember that, remember, right, how we are going to continue this. We'll try to develop the skeleton of the answer first. And then once we are done with the reading and once we generate our hints, then we'll develop the full answer. Okay. Okay. It has significant haulage and storage contracts with retail and supermarket chains in Ambien. See, this haulage means something related to transportation of goods. Transportation of goods from one place to another place. With retail and supermarket chains in ambient. Okay. The logistics marketplace is mature. Okay. The logistics marketplace is mature. Where is it? The logistics market is mature and extremely competitive. Okay. And Swift has become market leader through a combination of economies of scale, cost efficiencies, innovative IT solutions, and clever branding. Looks like these are all the strengths. Okay, these are all the strengths of Swift. This is how it has achieved the its market leader position. However, the profitability of the sector is under increased pressure from a recently elected government. Previously, we had issues with government in that other question as well, to tell question as well. Again, now government has come into picture. The profitability of the sector is under increased pressure from a recently elected government that is committed to heavily taxing fuel and reducing expenditure on roads. Reducing expenditure on roads. This Swift is a transportation company. They need proper roads. And this government is saying that we will reduce our expenditure on roads. So some issues are there for Swift in this country. At the same time, the government is saying that we are going to heavily tax on fuel as well. They have 1,500 trucks. 1,500 trucks, because of this heavy tax on fuel, their cost of running these trucks will increase. Maybe that is why Swift is thinking to move to this ACCA country. Reducing expenditure on roads in favor of alternative forms of transport. It has announced a number of taxes on vehicles which have higher carbon emissions levels. Obviously, since these are trucks, definitely these might have higher carbon emissions. We don't know yet. As well as reducing the maximum working hours and increasing the national minimum wage for employees. Whoa. So many things are happening in this one single sentence. Reducing maximum number of working hours. So if they're reducing maximum number of working hours, what happens? They will have to work for more number of days. They will have to, their contracts with the truck drivers would increase, right? So per day, maximum number of working hours reducing, which means more days they have to work, right? More contracts they might have to enter into. Increasing the national minimum wage for employees. Again, this is going to increase the cost. The company is perceived as a good performer in its sector. Last year's financial results reported a return on capital employed of 18%, gross profit margin 17%, operating profit margin 9.15%. Accounts also showed a current ratio, quick ratio, gearing ratio, oh my god, interest cover ratio. So many things they have given. Now, where can I use this information in my answer? Anybody? Where can I use this information in my answer?
Financial analysis.
Yeah, that financial analysis. Based on that financial analysis, shareholders will decide whether to accept this move towards security or not. So this information I can use to develop my answer in acceptability heading. Okay, so I'll talk about returns here. Returns in the sense, I mean the ratios. So I can come up with these ratios. What all ratios do we have here? First, they talked about return on capital employed.
Sir,
Huh.
sir, but actually financial analysis should be they've asked in part B question, analysis skills. So is it okay to write in part A?
No. We should not talk about why current ratio has increased or this has increased. We should not do that here. Why? Because here evaluation is only being tested. Okay, we are not bothered about why certain ratio has increased or why certain ratio has decreased. Why? Because professional skill, that is, this analysis is being tested in second question. Okay. So what do we have here? ROCE and then GP margin and then net profit margin. Is that net profit margin? Operating profit margin. OP margin. What else? What else? There is current ratio. There is quick ratio. Current ratio, quick ratio, and then finally interest cover ratio also. Oh my God. Interest cover as well. Okay. In returns, I'll have to talk about all these things. Let me do some. Okay. Okay. Let me remove, let me erase all this thing. Let me highlight the important points here. The main issues, the main reason why SWIFT might be thinking to move to another country, what would be those main reasons? Anyone? What would be those main reasons why SWIFT might be thinking to move to Ecuria?
Because of the conflicts in their country.
Exactly. Conflict in the sense some disagreements happening between government and this company. Tax on fuel, reducing expenditure on roads, and then this carbon emission levels tax on these vehicles, reducing the maximum working hours, and then increasing the national wage. So these are the main points. I will have to talk these things in suitability area. In suitability area, when I see, we are looking at the information of SWIFT, right? At the same time, in few seconds, we are going to look at the information of Ecuria also. So in Ecuria, if conditions are better, if no high tax is laid on fuel, no high, the government is investing in roads, infrastructure, right? Then it is suitable for SWIFT to move over there, right? So I will use that information over here in suitability. So for now, I'll say in Ambien. What is Ambien? Ambien is the name of the country in which SWIFT is currently operating in. This is Ambien. So in Ambien, high fuel tax. Okay, in Ambien, high fuel tax, low expenditure on roads, and then what else? A reduction in working hours, then tax on carbon emission, and then increasing wages. Okay. These are the issues that the SWIFT is facing in Ambien. Now we have to find a condition or environment where these kind of issues are not there, so that we will suggest SWIFT to move to this new country, Ecuria. We'll see. 10 years ago, you guys are able to follow, right? Any doubts so far? Just let me know. Any doubts so far?
No, sir.
No doubts, right? Okay. 10 years ago, the northern political bloc split up and 9 new independent states were formed. One of these states was Ecuria. Okay. The people of Ecuria, known as Ecurians, obviously, traditionally have a strong work ethic and a passion for precision and promptness. They're talking about people. So this is kind of giving me hints for my second answer under factor conditions. What kind of people are there? They have strong work ethic and they have passion for precision. They have passion for promptness. Maybe this is about the factor conditions. You know what? I'll try to develop the skeleton of part B as well. Um, People strong work ethic. Where ETH I see. Okay. Okay. Since the formation of the state, their hard work has been rewarded by strong economic growth. Okay. Okay. And a higher standard of living and an increased demand for goods, which were once perceived as unobtainable luxuries. Okay. So we are talking about demand conditions. So there is strong demand. Demand for goods is there. Higher standard standard of living. Okay. Since the formation of the state, the government of Ecuria has pursued a policy of privatization. Okay. It has also invested heavily in infrastructure. Wow. What a coincidence. Particularly the road transport system. Whoa, required to support the increased economic activity in the country. This is a match made in heaven. See, previously Swift was suffering here that this ambient government, they have reduced the expenditure on, where is this? They have reduced the expenditure on roads. And what this Ecuria government is doing, they have invested, they have not just invested, heavily invested in infrastructure, particularly in road transport system. Now I can damn sure say that this is a suitability aspect. Yes or no? You guys are able to see how beautifully examiner has framed this question. I know it is a bit of headache to go through each and everything, big paragraphs, but he just put forward the problem in the first para. He himself showed the solution in the second para, or she. Understood? This is how the pattern is going to be. By doing more and more questions, you will damn sure identify the pattern. And that is how the exam is going to be easy for you. How did I come up with the idea saying that maybe I will use these factors, the heavy tax, reducing government expenditure on roads, high carbon emission tax? How did I thought that maybe I'll use this for suitability? By doing more and more questions. I do know that examiner will give hints in the next para. How did I know? By doing more practice. As simple as that. So I'll make these things clear here. So now also invested heavily in infrastructure, particularly in road transport system. Okay. So in suitability, I will write in Ecuria, investment in roads. Okay. Nice. All right. Then what else is there here? it has also invested heavily in infrastructure, particularly the road transportation required. Okay. The state haulage operator, EVM. Oh, so this is the name EVM. What this EVM is? The state haulage operator. The moment you see words like this, we can think it is a government entity. Okay, state haulage operator means maybe there is this government entity, this EVM. This is known for transporting goods from place 1 to place 2. Okay, was sold off to Ecuadorian investors. Oh, who raised the finance to buy it from a foreign bank. So they mentioned about this. They have raised finance to buy from a foreign bank. The capital markets in Ecuador are still immature, and the government has not wished to interfere with or bolster them. So the capital markets are immature. The moment I read that sentence, I was thinking that, you know what, maybe I can use that in factor conditions. Remember that capital aspect. So immature market. So if it is immature, I cannot get bank loans that easily. Maybe I cannot get big bank loans that easily because the market is immature. AVM now has 700 modern trucks and holds all the major logistic contracts in the country. Looks like this is also a major operator. Okay, a major operator, and our Swift is also a major operator, right? 1,500 trucks we are owning, and we are the largest logistics company in Ambient. Looks like both are in the same track. It is praised for its prompt delivery. Okay, I did not see next. It is praised for its prompt delivery of goods. Problems in raising finance have made it difficult for significant competitors to emerge. Okay. So since finance is difficult to arrange, competitors are not there. Competition is low. The moment I look at this point, what I'll do, I'll go to the Potter's diamond. In rivalry, right? In rivalry, I'll talk about this. So low competition. Okay. Most are family farms, each of which operates around 20 trucks, making local deliveries within one of Ikira's 20s region. Okay. Private and family based, I have already mentioned in the answer. No problem. These two investors now wish to realize their investment in EVM and have announced that it is for sale. Oh, so what we understood so far is, in this Ecuador, this is the country, the government is operating this entity EVM, which is transporting goods from one place to another place. It is the largest operator. But we got to know that this EVM was sold to two investors. Okay, that is what we learned over there. And now we are saying that these two investors are now wish to realize their investment in EVM and has announced that it is for sale. So from these two investors, maybe Swift is going to acquire. Understood how the pattern it went through. You guys are able to follow, right? Please give me some confirmation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In principle, Swift are keen to buy the company and are currently evaluating its possible acquisition. You know what? When I'm reading this point, what I felt like is the staff who are working in this EVM, right? They work under government first. They work under two private investors next. Now they might be working under SWIFT. I feel like there might be some, opposition from the staff. Maybe they will not show the willingness to shift, to move from different management styles. It's a good point, right? We'll see where to use. Swift's management perspective perceived that their capabilities in logistics will greatly enhance the profitability of EVM. Okay. Last year's financial results of EVM are given in figure 1. Okay. Swift has acquired a number of smaller ambient companies in last decade, but no experience of acquiring foreign companies or indeed working in ACCA. Okay, okay. So they do not have that experience in working in other country. So maybe some cultural clashes might happen, right? So there may be some culture differences might be there. So in suitability, maybe I'll try to talk about that. So in ACCA, I'll say culture clash can happen. What else can I think of? So they're thinking that they can improve the profitability, right? So profits improve, thinking to improve profits. That is, on one hand, that is okay. But on the other hand, maybe some opposition from staff, because they might be fed up with changing managements. They worked under government. Maybe they got used to working in certain way. Then these two investors have come. Those are the private people. They might be having different kinds of company policies. They got used. Staff got used to that. Now Ambien has come into not Ambien. Swift has come into picture. So maybe some opposition could be there. Joe Swift is also contemplating a more radical change. He is becoming progressively disillusioned with Ambien. Oh, in a recent interview, he said that trading here is becoming impossible. Why? Why? Because of the government. They're saying that they're tax on fuel. They're not investing in infrastructure. Tax on carbon emission levels. They're changing the working hours, increasing the wages. So maybe our Joe has got fed up with the government over there. So now we are reaching the climax. Joe is fed up with the government over there. The government is more interested in over-regulating enterprise than stimulating growth. He is considering moving large parts of logistics operation to another country, and Ecuria is one of the possibilities he is considering. Wow. So at climax, we got to know that the opinion of the stakeholder, right? So shareholder, Joe. So if you observe, there is an opinion of the shareholder, right? Where is it? Trading here is becoming impossible. Trading here becoming impossible, right? As and when you identify these kind of things, as and when you identify opinions of the shareholders, opinions of somebody, opinions of media, opinions of government, you have to talk about that. You have to somehow link that with the answer. Whatever you're trying to say, you can use that in your answer. Okay. In this way, you're going to get commercial acumen marks. Remember what commercial acumen means? Commercial acumen means you have to give recommendation, thinking while being aware of business environment. How will you be aware of business environment? By knowing what the directors are thinking, by knowing what Joe is thinking here, what their opinion is. Based on their opinion, we'll have to frame our answer. In this way, we'll get the commercial acumen marks. In this way, our answer will be more relevant. Understood? Any doubts so far?
No, sir.
And then financials are given. Current ratio, we were given, even extract of statement of financial position is given. Okay, statement of financial position is given. Of whom? Of EVM. Why did they only give the financial statement of EVM? Did they give financial statement of SWIFT as well? No, only EVM. Why did they not give? Any idea? What could be the possible reason? Because the examiner had already calculated what ROCE, what GP margin, what operating profit margin, what gearing ratio of SWIFT. So that is why he did not give. Understood? Okay. Now that we have the skeleton, we'll have to start answering the question. Before I answer the question, let me give you some three to 4 minutes. Take some rest and then we'll start. Just 3 to 4 minutes. Just take some moment. All right, then we'll start. So suitability, this is for 14 marks, and the skill that is being tested here is evaluation, right? Professional skill that is being tested here, evaluation. Okay, I have to make sure I have to talk about positives, I have to talk about negatives, and then I have to give my opinion. Okay. Okay. 14 marks. So how will I divide my points? So how many side headings do I have? 1, 2, 3 side headings. Suitability, acceptability, and feasibility. So 14 marks, 3 side headings means 3 times 4, 12, 3 times 5, 15. So 4 to 5 points, 4 to 5 points of 1 mark each in each para, sorry, each side heading. That is what I'm thinking. So what I'm telling is, I have 3 side headings multiplied by some 4 to 5 1 more points, so that I will try to achieve 14 marks here. 12 to 14 marks. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. Okay. 3 paragraphs, 14 marks. So 4 points or 5 points in each para, each side heading, resulting in 12 to 14 marks. Maybe in one heading, in one side heading, I might not write more points, not more than 2 points. Maybe in one side heading, I have enough information to write more than 6 points? I don't know yet, but the standard segregation is 4 to 5 points. Okay. I should not keep this over here when I submit the answer. So I will have to remove that. Anyway, for your understanding, I'll keep it over there. So under suitability, what did I write here? In ambient, higher fuel tax is there, low expenditure on roads, reduction in working hours, tax on carbon emissions, increase in wages. Now I'll have to frame my sentence. First of all, I have to say what suitability is, right? So I'll say acquisition strategy is suitable, would be suitable if it addresses the issues. These are all the issues, right? High fuel tax, low expenditure on roads. If the issues if it addresses the issues identified at SWIFT in ambient. Okay. Now I'll say what those issues are. The issues in ambient are that the just let me see here. Did I mention everything? Largest logistic company, significant haulage storage. The logistic is mature and extremely competitive. Okay, okay. We have one more point also to talk about here. Extremely competitive is mature. So there is no other chance for us to increase our number of trucks to get more and more demand. Marketplace is already mature. Okay, extremely competitive as well. So maybe I'll try to begin my answer with that. So I'll say ambient, the issues in ambient are that the market is already mature, and because of this, margins could be reducing. Okay. Now I'll talk about high fuel tax or whatever government is doing. So two issues are happening here. One thing from the government perspective, one thing from the market perspective. From market perspective, since it is already mature, there is no more scope for SWIFT to flourish there. From government perspective, they're implementing this fuel tax and all those things I'm talking. Along with this, the government in ambient is increasing fuel tax, right? Restricting RSTRIs, restricting working hours, and levying taxes on carbon emissions. This is a cost burden to SWIFT, right? This is a cost burden to SWIFT. So in Ecuria, what is happening over there? In Ecuria, the government is investing in road infrastructure. And also, what about the competition over there? Is it mature or not? I think it is not it's not mature over there, the competition. Investors 10 years ago, northern Poland, Sweden, the people of Ukraine traditional strong ethic, right? Since the formation of hard work, strong economic growth, and higher standard of living and increased goods for, okay. Since the formation of the state, the government of India has policy privatization. It has invested heavily. Increased economic activity required to support the increased economic activity. Okay, they want to support the increasing economic activity, which means they did not reach the highest stage yet. So maybe economy is not, sorry, the industry is not mature over there. So I'll say that in Ikura, the government is investing in road infrastructure, and also the competition is immature, right? Why? Because I got to know that they have only family based firms, right? Plus the government, the capital availability is also less, so that competition is not much over there. We have written that in factor conditions, right? Capital immature market, and then low competition is there. I'm using those points over here as well, right? Why? Because I have talked about where is this? I've talked about the market over here. I'm talking about market of Ecuria also over here. In Ecuria, the government is investing in road infrastructure, and also competition is immature. Okay. Therefore, the acquisition of EVM, therefore the acquisition of EVM gives a chance to SWIFT to use their capabilities and improve profitability in Ecuria market. Okay. So this is what I've mentioned. First, I've talked about Ambient, and then I've talked about Ecuria. So one disadvantage kind of thing I've talked, and then one positive kind of thing I've talked. And then I've given my opinion saying that therefore the acquisition of EM gives a chance to SWIFT to use their capabilities and improve profitability in Ecuria. That is what evaluation is about, right? Okay. Now we have mentioned this. This might improve the profitability. Let's try to link it with culture clash. What kind of word should I use? I'll write that there is a possibility of culture clash between EVM and SWIFT. Why? Why? Because does SWIFT have previous experience in working in a foreign country? Please help me out, guys. Does SWIFT have previous experiences in working in foreign country?
No, sir.
No, right? So I'll use that here. As SWIFT does not have previous experience of acquiring for a foreign company, or at least trading in or at least trading in Ecuria. There is a possibility of culture clash between EVM and SWIFT, as SWIFT doesn't have a previous experience of working. Okay. Then what else can we write here? Okay, opposition from staff we have mentioned here, right? So, thinking to improve profit. So SWIFT is thinking that using their capabilities, they will improve the, they will improve the profitability. But on the other hand, we are thinking that there can be opposition from staff. See, now what I'll do is, On one hand, look at the wording. On one hand, Swift is perceiving, or you can simply write thinking, to improve profitability of EVM with their capabilities. But on the other hand, as Swift has on the other hand, this could also lead to labor disputes because Swift wants to implement their policies or practices which they were using at Ambien. Ambien is Swift's country. And EVM employees may be reluctant to follow these new practices. Possibility is there. So that is why opposition can be there from the staff. Understood a suitability aspect. Just give me a quick confirmation. If any doubt, do let me know. Any doubt, guys?
No, sir.
No, right? Okay. So suitability is done. Anyway, again, once we are done with the answering, we'll have to remove these hints. Okay, these words are we have created those words, we have written those things for our understanding to help us formulate or to help us develop our answer. Okay, these things we'll have to remove. I'll keep them, it will be useful for you. Acceptability. So how did we start with this suitability? Suitability, we have started with saying how the strategy will be suitable. When will it be suitable? Same thing will start here. When will the strategy will be acceptable? The acquisition strategy would be acceptable depending on the opinion of the shareholders and stakeholders, comma, depending on the risks and returns that would come from this strategy, right? So basic kind of a introduction kind of thing, basic thing. So returns we are talking about now. So what all do we have here? ROC, return on capital employed, GP margin, operating profit margin, current ratio, quick ratio, interest rate ratio. We'll calculate all these things, don't worry. Return on capital employed will calculate. So the formula for ROC is PBIT divided by capital employed. Okay, PBIT by capital employed. So what is the PBIT? By the way, these returns, GP margin, operating profit margin, these belong to whom? We are going to calculate EVM or Swift?
EVM.
Exactly. Why? Because Swift they have already given. We will compare these two now. So ROCE, PBIT by capital employed. PBIT by capital employed. PBIT is profits before interest and tax. Where is my profits before interest and tax? I will find this in P&L account. I mean statement of profit and loss. So profits before income taxes, this is 1200. Operating profit, PBIT means operating profit, 1500 less interest expenses. I got profits before income tax. So I'll have to use this one. I'll have to use this figure 1500. Why? Because this is profit before interest and tax. Before interest has been reduced, before tax has been reduced, how much is the profit? This much is the profit. PBIT 1500 divided by capital employed. So capital employed means total assets minus current liabilities, or equity plus long-term borrowings. Okay, total assets minus current liabilities, or equity plus long-term borrowings. Now, let me show you something over here. Let's suppose this is the balance sheet. We have non-current assets here, current assets here. We have equity over here, and then under liabilities, long-term liabilities, and then current liabilities. Okay. So capital employed means this part. Okay, capital employed means this part. How can we come up with this? Add these two. Okay, add these two. Let's suppose you got 100. Definitely this side also 100 would be there, no? If the balance sheet tallies. Out of this 100, this is total assets, right? Out of this total assets, simply remove the current liabilities, right? So what would be remaining then? From non-current asset. So what we are trying to do is, from this part, right? From this part, we are reducing this. I'm sorry. See, if this part is 100, this total thing is 100, this total thing is also 100. From this 100, we are simply reducing the current liabilities. If we reduce this current liabilities, we are left with this part. Same thing. Rather than directly saying equity plus long-term liability, equity plus long-term liability, we can also say that total assets minus current liabilities. We will be ending up with equity plus long-term liabilities. Understood that? Understood that formula? If not, let me know. Understood or no? Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So for our simple understanding, I'll use this one, total assets minus current liabilities. I'll see how much is the total asset. Total asset is 9,300. Current liability is 1050. Okay. So 9,300 minus 1050. Calculate that. Let me know how much is the percentage of return on capital employed. 1500 divided by 9300 minus 1050. Let me know how much it is.
0.18.
0.18, which means 18%. Okay. So you got 0.18, which means 18 divided by 100, which is simply 18%. So this is 18%. Okay, now we'll have to compare this with the ROCE of SWIFT, right? We'll compare and then we'll see if ROCE is almost similar or if it is even higher, shareholders will be happy to accept this acquisition, right? If ROCE is good, it means returns are coming from this investment. So if it is good, if it is more than their current ROCE, they will be happy to accept it. We'll see how much is the ROCE of SWIFT. How much is the ROCE of SWIFT? Company is perceived as good performer. Return of capital employed is 18%. Oh, almost same. By the way, did we get any points here? 0.18 something or exactly 0.
0.1818 it was.
Okay then 1818. Okay, we'll mention like this. So ROCE is similar, right? ROCE is similar. We'll say that ROCE 18.18%, which is similar to SWIFT. So both are large participants, right? So in Ambient, SWIFT is largest operator with 18% ROCE. It appears that EVM is also a strong performer in ACCA in transportation market. If it is a strong performer, shareholders will be willing to accept this. So that's why I've mentioned it. Understood? So ROCE is done. GP margin, gross profit margin. How will we calculate the gross profit margin? Any idea? GP margin formula? Gross profit by revenue. Okay. So how much is the gross profit? Where can I find gross profit? In P&L account, in statement of profit or loss. My gross profit is over here, 4,000. So this 4,000 divided by revenue. Revenue is 20,000. Okay. Calculate how much it is. GP margin.
0.2.
0.2, which means 20%. So 0.2 means 0.20. I can put it over there. 20 by 100. So 20%. Okay. So GP margin 0.2, right? 20%. So 4,000 divided by 20,000, which is equals to 20%. Now I'll have to compare this with Swift's GP margin. Where is it? Where is it? How much is Swift GP margin? Can anybody tell me?
17%.
17%. Oh, which is lower than EVM. Okay, which is lower than EVM. So I'll say okay, we're assessing, right? We'll have, okay, we're doing the assessment. Where is this? How much it is? Profit margin is 17%. All right. So GP margin 20% is lower than Swift. Okay. We'll calculate operating profit margin as well. Operating profit margin, how can we calculate? Operating profit by revenue. Operating profit by revenue. Tell me how much it is. Where is my operating profit? Here it is. Operating profit by revenue.
0.075.
0.075, which means 0.75. Okay, this is 7.5%. Okay. Where is this operating margin? Operating profit, where is it? 1500 again. 1500 divided by revenue is 20,000 is 7.5%. I'll compare with Swift. How much is the Swift's operating profit margin? 9.5%. Oh, Swift has more operating profit margin. Okay. Which is lower than GP margin. How much? Swift has GP margin only 17%. Okay. This is higher than Swift, right? 20%. Higher than Swift. And this is lower than Swift. Operating profit is low. So what could be the reason? Operating profit. GP is high. Gross profit, GP margin. Okay, this is high, but this is low. So what has impacted? This is high, but this is low. What has impacted this thing? Administrative expenses. Maybe they have higher admin costs. Okay, because of this, the operating profit margin had reduced. So I'll say this could be due to company carrying higher operating costs, right? But at the same time, Swift is believing that it wants to make the EVM profitable, right? So I'll say, even if it has more operating costs, however, Swift believes that it can improve this by implementing its core competencies. So that, see, while when shareholders are looking at this 18.18%, they will be happy, right? But when they look at this operating profit margin, they'll be worrying, right? So so the company is saying that, don't worry, we have our capabilities, we'll try to manage them. So one issue I have mentioned, and then I have balanced it out by saying I have the competencies. No, will balance out, no problem. This is evaluation. This is where I get my evaluation marks. Talking about positive negatives, balancing things. Understood? Current ratio. So these are returns. Returns in the sense return on capital employed, GP margin, operating margin, these are returns. Now we're talking about the risks. RISK, risk. Okay, current ratio. How much is the current ratio? Can anybody calculate? How much is the current ratio? How will we calculate the current ratio? Current assets divided by current liabilities, right? Current assets divided by current liabilities. What all comes under current assets? These things. So all these three things come under current assets. Current liabilities, directly they have given 1050. So tell me, calculate and tell me how much is the current ratio of EVM.
1.1429.
1.1429.
1429.
Okay, we'll resort to two decimal numbers. So current ratio is 1.14. Okay, how much is the current ratio of EVM? Sorry, Swift. How much it is? Current ratio of Swift? Anyone? How much is the current ratio of Swift? 1.55. Okay. So EVM's current ratio is lower than Swift's current ratio. Okay, is lower than Swift. What could be the possible reason? How it is going to be beneficial for us? Can anybody think? Okay, we'll calculate quick ratio as well. Then we'll think. How much is the quick ratio? Where quick ratio formula is, we'll divide current assets by current liabilities, but from this current assets we will subtract these inventories. Okay, now tell me how much is the quick ratio. Current assets are 100 minus inventories is 100 divided by current liabilities 1050. How much it is?
1.04.
1.04. Okay, 1.04. How much is the quick ratio of Swift? Quick ratio of Swift is 1.15. Okay, again EVM's current ratio, sorry, quick ratio is lower than Swift. Is lower than Swift. Okay, both are low. We need to have a bigger current ratio. We need to have bigger quick ratio. So that what happens is, for example, current ratio, right? Current assets divided by current liabilities. So for every $1 of current liabilities, how much of current assets you have? In short term, if what forms part of current liabilities? Payables, right? In short term, for every dollar of current liability that you have, how much current assets do you have? For example, it is 2/1. For every $1 of current liability, I have $2 of current assets, which means if today this supplier comes to me and say that, no, please settle my account, I have $2 out of which one I will give this to this guy, and with one I can still survive. I can use this one as my working capital, right? Let's suppose it is 3/1. Okay, if if this is 2, and then it will be 3, right? If it is 3/1, which means for every dollar of liability, current liability, I have $3 of current assets. Even after I pay $1 to the supplier, I still have $2, right? So having a bigger current ratio, quick ratio is beneficial. And at the same time, it should not be too much high, right? It should not be like 5/1. Why? Because what is happening here is too much of your current assets, too much of your investment is being accumulated in maybe in inventories, right? Maybe too much of cash that you have here. You're not using this cash for other investments. Again, if we go through that, a lot of discussion will happen. Let's just restrict our analysis to simple things. So it is lower than Swift, right? So we can say that, what else? What can we say here? So we have we need to improve this current liabilities. Sorry, we have to improve this ratios, current ratio and quick ratio. So I'll say that perhaps with the competencies of Swift, the payables can be made prompt. I'll say the suppliers may be paid prompt payments so that the liquidity of EVM is improved. Okay. Only those two things they have asked in risk. And then interest cover. So interest cover means the formula is what is the formula for interest cover? Earnings before interest and tax divided by interest. Okay, earnings before interest and tax divided by interest. Calculate how much it is. Earnings before interest and tax divided by interest. How much it is? Earnings before interest and tax. This is interest and tax is not given. So we need earnings before interest. So we can take operating profit, right? So 1500 divided by how much is the interest expense they paid? 300. So this is 5 times, right? So with the earnings that you have, you can pay off your interest 5 times, right? So this is interest cover. So interest cover is 5. And how much is the interest cover for Swift? 8. Interest cover ratio is 8. Okay, interest cover ratio is 8, right? Again, this is interest cover is 5, which is lower than Swift. What could be the reason? Where is my P&L account? What could be the reason? Any idea? So this is what the element we have used in EBIT, right? EBIT by interest. This, where is this? This 1500 we have used over here. If this number is a bigger one, if this number is a bigger one, we would have got a bigger interest cover, right? Maybe from 5, it would have been, it would have gone to 6, maybe 7. If this number is bigger one, we can, get a bigger interest cover answer. Or this number should be lower. Interest should be lower. We can't reduce this number. We can't manage this. Why? Because agreements would have already happened with the bank. This much interest we'll be paying. We can't do anything with that. But we can try to increase this number, EBIT. How can we increase? How did this EBIT arrive? This EBIT or this operating profit has arrived after deducting the administrative expenses, right? After deducting this administrative expenses. Oh, so from 4,000 2,500, more than 50% is going towards administrative expenses only. That is why your PBIT or EBIT has reduced. So now what I can say is, maybe Swift, with again its competencies, may try to reduce these administrative expenses, may try to restrict those administrative expenses, so that this EBIT can be bigger one, and then we can get some higher interest coverage ratio. Okay, so I'll write that down. Perhaps this means that I'll say what is the reason. I'll say this could be due to larger ADMI, NIS, ERA, administrative expenses, and maybe cost of sales is also high here. We can't only say administrative expense is the only culprit. Cost of sales is also high. 20,000 revenue you're getting, 16,000 is going for cost of sales, right? More than half, almost 80%, I believe. So this is also high. So I'll say interest cover is larger than cost of sales. This can also mean that after deducting interest and tax, profitability further reduces, right? So GP has, cost of sales is this much, administrative expenses are this much. Imagine if you reduce tax, after that your profits from 1,200 to it might get even reduced. So there is a possibility. One negative aspect I'm saying here. Why? Because I have told here that using the competencies of Swift, maybe I can improve this. On the other hand, I'm saying that what if I'm not able to improve? What if Swift is not able to improve? If considering taxation, the profitability even reduces. One positive aspect I've said, one negative aspect I've said. So this is what risk and return is. And stakeholders, I can simply say that. We can say that for stakeholders. Under stakeholders, we have shareholders first, right? So Swift is a private company. Swift is a private company. Swift is a private company with all the shareholders belong to the same family. So there is a possibility. So it is unlikely, L-I-K-E-L-Y, it is unlikely that disagreements may happen. Okay, so I'm basically saying that since all of them are from the same family, consensus of mind might be there, so they will accept the strategy. They will accept this acquisition strategy. That is what I'm saying here. But imagine if Swift shifts its most of the operations to this new country, what happens to this 1,500 truck drivers? What happens to this 1,500 truck drivers? They will be losing their jobs, right? They might be angry. So truck drivers are also stakeholders. I'll have to talk about them as well. So I'll say Joe is considering to move large part of logistics operations to Ecuria. This will impact 1,500 truck drivers who may disagree with this strategy. if Joe choose to discontinue operations in Ambient. Why am I saying Joe might discontinue operations in Ambient? I'll have to support my opinion. What I'll do now is I will use this one. Trading here is becoming impossible, right? Joe has said this. Joe has said that trading here is becoming impossible. So I will back my opinion with Joe's statement. This is even more relevant as Joe has criticized the government that they're over-regulating the enterprise, right? That the government is over-regulating. The government is over-regulating and not focusing on growth of the industry. Okay, this is enough here. This is enough here. And feasibility, apart from the ratios that the examiner had already calculated, they did not give us any information related to how much funds they have, right? So maybe I'm assuming that they have the funds. So I'll say that the strategy is, the strategy would be feasible, FEASI, feasible, if the company has resources, financial resources. Anyway, we have competencies, right? So I'll say company has resources and competencies to deliver the strategy. Swift, although there is no information related to financial resources or funds related to funds that Swift can use to invest in Equaria. It is highly likely that it can use its competencies to make the strategy a successful one. Feasibility done. Any doubts? First of all, you guys have been following. You guys are able to understand. Let me know if you did
Yes,
not
sir.
understand anything or you want any further explanation over there. Just let me know. Oh my God, 6:45 it is already. Today also we have exceeded the time. So whenever we do questions, we are exceeding times. So I'll think about that. So anybody else, any questions, guys? Sanath, any doubt? Shivani, Yashika, Chinmay,
No,
any
sir.
doubts, guys? No, right?
No, sir.
Don't worry, in the beginning, you might not be able to come up with this kind of full-fledged answers. Even I had to study, before the class, I'll revise 2 times. And during my preparation time, I would have practiced a lot, right? So these things were already in my mind, but still I'm trying to show the framework. I'm trying to show how I'm thinking so that you can also think in the same way. Right, I'm saying I'm calculating something and saying that I'll have to compare this with the EVM's, Swift's ratios. So what is going on inside my brain, I'm sharing with you, the framework I'm sharing with you. Use that framework while you're practicing. Okay. Last one, factor B, analyze the nation's competitiveness of Equaria. This is easy one. Fatafat, we'll finish this. People have work ethic, right? So I'll say first I'll say what these factor conditions are. Factor conditions are necessary for companies to give competition to others in the industry. ACCA has significant factor conditions. Why? Because, by the way, what is the professional skill? Analysis is being tested. Now I have resorted to the because. So analysis means we have to talk about reasons. We have to talk about impacts. Remember? Because I'll have to justify my fact. I have stated a fact here, right? Factor conditions are necessary for companies to give competition. ACCA has significant factor conditions. I have to say what? I have to say the reason. Because in ACCA, people have strong work ethic, right? And they have passion for PRECISSI precision, right? I remember it. They have passion. They have passion. They have passion for precision. Plus, at the same time, their government is also investing, right? So, also, the government is investing in transportation systems, which is critical, or you can say which is crucial for a logistic company, right? Swift is a logistic company, right? For a logistic company to operate well, right? That is done. But the thing is, we have issue with capital, right? Since the capital market is immature, there is a possibility that Swift might find difficulty in arranging funds. Okay, so I've said something. So what is the impact of this immature capital market? Impact is Swift will be finding it difficult to arrange the funds. That is the impact. Okay. Demand conditions. Demand for goods, higher standard of living. What can I write there? So if there is good demand, if there is good demand, it will be helpful for Swift to come here and satisfy that demand, right? So demand is also there. Demand for goods is there. At the same time, higher standard of living. They have this tendency towards higher standard of living, the people. So I'll write that. It is evident that, and by the way, how am I coming up with these kind of words? It is evident, and then it is necessary. There is a possibility. So again, through practice, what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to support which is already said. So I'm saying it is evident. So evidence is already there. It is evident that there is higher standard of living, living, and increased demand for goods in ACCA. So what can be the impact? So I've said there is a demand for goods. Okay. What is the impact of this? So if there is demand, it will pressure companies to do innovation, right? So demand influences the rate of innovation. Okay, demand influences the rate of innovation. How can I link this with Swift? Let me read the characteristics of Swift. Ambien is the third largest Swift, okay, known for largest logistic company in is privately owned shares with a significant holdings returns. Those markets mature. Swift has become market leader through a combination of economy sale, cost efficiencies, clever branding. Okay. So they know how to do the branding. They are innovative in IT solutions. Oh, maybe I can use this competency here. Demand influences the rate of innovation. As Swift already has good, as Swift already known for, what is it known for? It is known for coming up with innovative IT solutions. It may use this competency to improve the logistics service, thereby satisfying the demand of the people. Okay, understood. So I'm trying to show the impact. Before I show the impact, I try to link that with the characteristics of the company. If the company has that character, a certain advantage, then it can easily do that, right? So innovation, a company has to resort to innovation. Do I have that skill? Yes, I have that skill that I have shown. So whatever basic information that the examiner is giving you at the initial paragraphs, we'll have to slowly pull that information to build our answer at the later stages. Understood? Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I know this is taking a little bit long, but we are almost at the climax. So I hope you guys are finding it interesting. Supporting industries. By the way, did they mention anything about supporting industries in the case study? They did not mention anything about supporting industries, right?
No, sir.
No. So directly we can say that there is no evidence in the case study that ACCA has competitive or I can say supporting industries related to logistics. Hence, in the absence of supporting industries, it is critical for Swift to make a decision whether to enter ACCA or not. Hence, in the absence of supporting industries, it is critical. No, which is critical for Swift. It might be in a dilemma to make a decision whether to enter ACCA or not. Supporting industries have to be there, right? So for this logistics, supporting industries should be there. If these goods are being transported, maybe covers for those goods. At the same time, what else? People who carry these goods from one place to another, right? Deliver these goods to the ultimate customers. That is supporting industry, right? So since this information is not there, I'm saying that maybe the company will be in a dilemma whether to enter into that country or not. Now we have reached the last side heading: firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. Private limited, family-based company, we have said that. So what else can we write here? Private family-based firm strategy. Low competition is there.
Both are private limited only, so
Both
family.
are private limited, right? So
Yes, family.
EVM is also private limited. Our Swift is also private limited. So structure wise, there is this compatibility, right? Structure wise, there is compatibility. So I can say that both EVM and Swift are private companies. So there is some compatibility here. Let's suppose if I'm not able to develop this point, let's suppose if I'm not able to see what can be the impact if they're both private limited, what is the advantage that this company can get? Let's suppose I'm not able to think about that. I'll talk about rivalry. Low competition is there, right? Why there is low competition? What made this competition to be so low?
Similar companies.
What?
No more similar companies there.
Yeah, no more similar companies are there. The reason why no more similar companies are there, because the capital market is immature, right? So if you want to come up with a logistics company at that large scale, banks are not willing to give loans. Because of that, the impact is lower competition. So I'll say lower competition. I'll say the nature of capital markets is such that it is difficult to raise finance in equity. Due to this, the competition or the competitors are small, family run, businesses. That is enough. So how many points did I write here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points I've written here. And this is for 8 marks. Okay, it's a reasonable attempt. Over here, right, I might get 1 more mark somewhere. So this is a reasonable attempt. What is more than reasonable attempt? This is 5 points, 5 marks, 8. This is for 8 marks. I've written 5 points. Can I think of any one more point? Let's give some summary. Factor conditions are favorable, demand conditions are favorable, no supporting industries are there. At the same time, issue with the competition, issue with the capital structure, right? Let me summarize that. I'll say that the above analysis showed favorable conditions exist in factor conditions, demand conditions. This could influence, let me see the question, analyze the national competitiveness of Ecuria and explain how it could influence. Anyway, they're asking, right, how this is going to influence the swift decision to move to the Ecuria. So I'll say that from the above analysis, these two are good. EX condition exists. EXISTS exists in factor condition C1DITI demand conditions. These two could influence SWIFT to move large part of logistics to Ecuria. But at the same time, I'm saying that, however, it needs to consider, so banks might not be able, so it needs to consider funding strategy. It needs to consider, or it needs to think about funding strategy before finalizing on the decision. DCI as decision to move. Understood. So we have reasonably attempted this question. Here we have focused on evaluation. Here we have focused on analysis. So far, so good. You guys have any doubts? Take a moment, let me know.